Martin RIvard. Martin a une maîtrise en marketing. Is as well working in the private sector, but he co-founded a company with a partner, with one of his friend partner, called le Chalet U. So I will let Martin explain to you what is the Chalet U standing for universal accessibility. Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Valran. Before we begin, we're going to watch a short video, and then we're going to simply tell about our story. And I'm saying our story because my partner here is in the room, and I'm speaking on his behalf as well. So we're going to roll a short video, and then I'm going to simply tell the story and welcome questions afterwards. So here is the story. A few years ago, well, actually, this is Aude. Aude was a big, still is a big fan of outdoor activities, and she's used to go. She was used to go every year with a group of friends, on her yearly trip, renting a cottage every year and have a good time, a good weekend with friends. And Aude got sad news at some point. She got a MS diagnosis, and her condition got worse enough that she's now in a wheelchair. So she tried to keep doing her activities, and at some point, while doing many researches, was getting obvious it was very, very difficult to keep doing her yearly annual trip, actually. So this is Aude and Jean-Philippe. They are very, very good friends. At some point, Aude was telling Jean-Philippe about this story. The fact that she could not go to the college anymore. She had to scratch that activity of her calendar. And Jean-Philippe is actually a good friend of mine. We've been friends for 15 years now. And Jean-Philippe's got all of those crazy ideas. Every second week, he would come to me with a new idea, which I would destruct, you know, all the time. Because I'm like the rational side of the mini wheat, you know. So, but at some point he was telling me about this this story he had, this conversation he had with Aude, you know, because Jean-Philippe had done his initial research, speaking with Kéroul and speaking with, you know, looking on the web and trying to find out if this was actually true, that there was virtually very few offering in the province of Quebec, you know, in terms of short-term rental cottages. So he came to me and told me about this conversation he had with Aude, and was telling me basically, you know, why don't we do this, you know? So so I did my own research on my end, you know, but very quickly, you know, we said, you know, we need to do this. So we did not analyze that much, let's face it, you know, we really plunged into this based on the information we got from Kéroul and, well, I would say mostly Kéroul, because very rapidly there's been a trust relationship that was built, you know, with these guys. So over a few pints, we've drawn the scope of our project and did our top-line vision of what this would be, you know. So we've done our wish list, basically, not knowing much, or actually knowing nothing about accessibility. So we said we need one floor, lots of space. We need the space to be bright, green. We think we need this huge bathroom, you know, and but there's no compromise. This must be beautiful, absolutely beautiful, because there's no compromise to do on this. It needs to be accessible for, moreover, it needs accessible for all, you know, because we got to learn very rapidly that quite often, you know, people with disabilities would travel with friends, with, you know, as a group, especially in that case of renting a cottage, you know, so it needed to be accessible for all. So we bought the land, you know, we asked nothing to no one except the bank, and we bought this little piece of land close to my hometown, which, you know, I'm lucky enough, I was born in this amazing region called the Eastern Township, region of Memphremagog, you know, so there was already a good vibe about this place. We had some resources. So we started working, not knowing exactly where we were going, but we started in, you know, getting in movement very rapidly. And then we faced our first challenge. How the hell do we do this? So first thing we did was to stay cool, and we started asking questions, you know, and we started connecting, and planning. So Jean-Philippe, you know, stopped someone at, you know, in the street, someone in a wheelchair, and started asking questions, and we made, you know, so many phone calls, and we spoke with Kéroul, and they were very, very helpful with us, you know, and we consulted the various guides, but there was no one-size-fits-all solutions to this, you know. We really, really needed to be all over the place to build our kind of rule books, let's say. So we've done quite a few versions of our floor plan and consulted the various organizations, and Kéroul was part of them. And so finally, you know, we started building this. We started the excavation, and you know, the situation evolved, and you know, we had some kind of a white page at this point in time, but we needed to start building something. And then we faced our second challenge, which is resistance to change. By this I mean we needed to work with partners who had, I mean, no clue of what we were trying to do, because we were innovating here, and had, you know, not that much interest in our project, but we had to kind of force them to follow our rules. So this is Jean-Philippe kind of arguing with these guys, and that's really it. You know, I caught him on the moment, and the guys were, you know, quite cooperative, but you know, we need to be convincing and very, very stubborn in the course of the project, because we were kind of you know, shaking their paradigms. You know, so basically if I would sum what they would tell us, many times, well, this is not the way we do this. Well, this is going to be our way, so let's do this. Just to give an example, a custom house means, in the paradigm, a custom kitchen. So we wanted to be very cost conscious about this because our goal was to do a second one if our case was to be proven, so which one do you prefer? Obviously, the IKEA kitchen was very appealing for us, however, well, IKEA, we know it, that's one size fits all most of the time, and we needed actually 9 inches of space at the bottom, not 4 inches. So we worked again with our partners, and JP was stubborn enough, to say, you know what, we're going to doctor this up, we're going to make this fit. So we modified, like MacGyver's type of guys, modified IKEA cabinets and made this work, and there's been, I guess the look is not, is not too bad. And we've had so many examples of this, working with, doing a no threshold type of showers directly on the concrete and having those guys telling us, why would you do this, and we kept our way really, and doing thresholds, kind of recessed in the floor, and doing 39 and even 42 inches wide doors instead of 32, which is a standard. And we even designed, a few pieces of furniture here that Jean-Philippe did, on rollers to make a service table to have, to kind of help our guests, to feel and to be actually as autonomous as the rest of the group in our cottage. So in March, we got certified by Kerul. They came to our place. We had a few minor corrective actions to apply, and then we got our certification by Kerul. And we did that grand opening in May to thank friends and family and partners. And you may recognize a great partner of ours here in the project. And we started doing our own home marketing, little things. And in 2014, 13-14, it's fairly easy to start a business with the fairly humble financial means. So we did our own marketing website and a Facebook page, and social media was so good for us. And then we subscribed to a few sites, to have, to begin this. And we had a fairly good support from the community as well. Really embraced the project, and we had the city where we were established that really did some mileage on that, to look like they were sustainable, and it was almost their idea at some point, but we were fine with that. The goal was to do the second project if this was to work. So did this work? At this point in time, we started operating in April 2000, well, very recently, a few months ago. July, August was fully booked. At this point in time, today, as of today, we have 70% occupancy on the cottage. But the great success really is that 75% of our guests are in needs for wheelchair. And this was a condition for us to call it a success, And at the same time, to see that 25% of our guests are using the cottage for what it is, made us call this a universal access cottage, meaning they take it because it's freaking beautiful. Sorry about that. It's a super place to be, with such a great vibe. So and don't get me wrong, there's nothing promotional here. I really believe into what I'm saying, we got, and we also got some kind of recognition from the community. So those are fairly, good check marks that we had, that we've put in our book, And just to come back on the main topic here, because it's about universal access, and we thought, what's our key message here? It's not about only telling our story, but it's also about, saying universal access is really for everybody, and is this actually more expensive to build from the get-go, you know, and as a universal design. And for us, it's actually not. You need to be more stubborn, I believe. You know, you need to connect, to plan, to innovate. But it's actually, in our case at least, it was not more expensive to build that way. Does that mean that you need to compromise on aesthetic? We believe not, you know, and I trust that, you know, you see for yourself that, you know, it's a fairly nice place to be in, so there's no compromise, there's nothing stale in that place, not at all. And universal design doesn't mean accessible only, you know, no, absolutely not. A quarter of our guests are, you know, coming for what this is. So we're often being asked, Jean-Philippe and I, so guys, what's next, you know, and our goal, our vision, our dream would be to build this across the province of Quebec, you know, to have our guests, you know, who we've built trust in our call it humbly a banner of one cottage, but we would love to see them, you know, going in other regions across the province and maybe beyond. But more importantly, our goal is to make a bit of a difference. Thank you.
Any questions? Yes?
How many from the clientele is coming from overseas and how many are domestic market?
Actually, so I'll repeat the question. So what's the ratio basically that is coming from overseas versus here? I would say most of our guests are coming from the province of Quebec, and I would say the main reason for that, and I trust it's true, you know, I'm pretty sure it's true, it's because of our communication, you know, because so far we've been very humble in our communication. We got good support from organisms such as Keroul, and you know, we're using basic sites, you know, cottage rental sites, but I would say mostly the various organisms in the province of Quebec. So most of our guests so far are coming from the province, but I can say that as we speak, there's people from Quebec, but their in-laws are from Australia. The in-law is in a wheelchair, so they looked for our place, and you know, as of this morning, they were in love with the place already. But mostly the province. Here.
Questions? Yes.
Whatever I can do the. And to say an impact would be a bit overstated, I would say, you know, because we have a 3-bedroom cottage, you know, running. So it's fairly humble. However, I would say this, you know, one of the conditions for us to buy this piece of land I've shown earlier was to have acceptance from the community. And the first thing this guy did, GP, I think you should stand up, by the way. Nothing to put you on the spot, but he went to see the neighbor, you know, to say, hey, Jean, I don't know you, but you know, here is our project. Here is what we want to do, and you know, it's a very little road we're on, you know. So very rapidly the word got around, and so when I say the community, I also mean the neighbors, and everyone's on our side, you know, there's no sides per se, but everyone likes the project. And we did the same with, you know, a restaurant fairly close, you know, and that was accessible. And we do this, you know, very humble partnership with, we give coupons to our guests, and, you know, we use our, you know, the maid, you know, the same lady, you know, does the cleaning at this place because there's an hotel. It's an hotel as well. So we did a bit of a partnership here and there, you know, but to say an impact, I would say the impact on the municipality, though, you know, we did that communique because we won a prize, an environmental prize because of the construction we've done, avoiding erosion and all. She spent the project in a way, you know, that it's, you know, it was good for the city as well, you know, so they would be sustainable and like some kind of a ricochet, you know, with our project.
Yes.
Would your cottage be as comfortable for somebody who uses a beach, for somebody who is blind or deaf?
Actually, I was in the other session right before this one, and this was so enlightening, and I was telling Jean-Philippe, you know, because really what we've done was for mobility, you know, issues. That's the approach we've taken. But this was very challenging, and I think this would be one very good next step, you know, as far as, you know, I would take the challenge, absolutely, you know, but right now I wouldn't say, I wouldn't say so, you know, not necessarily, but I think I would take the challenge for the next one, though, you know.
Yes.
It's quite exciting to hear how you're going to build more cottages in many locations. Would you first consider building one in the same location to sort of build that kind of community or have that bigger impact?
Yeah, very good question. This is, well, actually, we asked ourselves that exact same question because it was a balancing act between the network, you know, the network vision and getting more density in one area, you know. And we thought that, you know, to use the same resources because we've built our network in terms of constructing the cottage, but also exactly what you referred to, because very recently we were looking at the land almost next to ours. It didn't work, but regardless, you know, we thought it would be good to keep densifying into our current market, you know, to reinforce that networking, absolutely. This would be the next step, ideally.
Yes, one more question.
I know in your presentation you said it's a myth about additional costs to make it accessible. So through your research and everything, were you able to keep it to a budget similar to a regular home?
I was lucky enough to have a partner that is even cheaper than I am. $200 is the answer to your question, you know, per square foot. Really, this is and really, we were able to remain not only on budget but under budget. Really, you know. And when we spoke to the bank at the end of the project, we reported on our project and all, and she would not believe us. But after, you know, once we've shown the numbers, we were really under budget. But we're crazy on that, let's face it. We're a little...
Very good.
Can we take one very last question? I think there's a...
There's one more question. I haven't seen it.
Okay, I thought there was a question. Oh.
Okay, go ahead.
How did you deal with the contractors on site and educating?
Such a good question, and it was a day-to-day story. I mean, Jean-Philippe was very, very stubborn with these guys. I would say the main key factor was to be fully involved in the project, though. We live in Montreal. This project was an hour and a half away. JP was doing the back and forth, you know, and he was there every day to make sure that nothing would slip because the natural was coming back all the time. So to be stubborn, to be present, to document yourself, those were pretty much the key factors for, you know, to avoid that situation. So.
Very good, very good.